الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، فإن أصدق حديث كتاب الله أحسن الحديث هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في نار. في الليلة tonight بإذن الله الدرس في الأسماء إشارة بإذن الله. Today we have a lesson about demonstrative or demonstrative pronouns. Before we start بإذن الله, in the book Learning Arabic Language of the Quran, chapter 3, page 52, we're going to review, inshallah, a particular lesson. We can review a lesson from the book Learning Arabic Language of the Quran. This will be a review for us. الدمائر بإذن الله, we went over them from last weekend. دمائر المتصل، الدمائر مفصل. We have two types of دمائر. الدمائر المتصل, which is called the attached pronoun, and we have الدمائر المفصل, and we have the detached pronoun, meaning by itself. الدمائر المتصل, الدمائر المتصل, the attached pronoun, which are attached to a noun, verb, or participle. The detached pronoun, damairu munfasil, which comes separately without attaching it to a verb, noun, or participle. Pronouns can be classified according to conversation, which is called al-kalam. We have A, al-ghaib, the third person, al-muqatib or al-hadir, the second person, mutaqallam, the one who is speaking. Al-jins, al-jinnah, related to muthakkir and mu'annath, masculine and feminine. And adad, related to singular, dual, plural, mufrad, muthanna, al-jam'u. All these explanations and rulings went over it last weekend. Ad-dama' al-ghaib, which is the third person, which we see in the chart here, a jadwal, and the chart that we have in front of us. الجمع, the plural, المثنى, the dual, the mufrad. For the jam'u, you have here hum, which means 3 and more, huma, which means for 2, and huwa, which is he, for the masculine pronoun. Then we have its attached pronoun, which is hum, huma, and hu. There's something new, la hum, la huma, la hu. This particular lam here, the lam that is written, this particular lam known for belonging to. La, meaning so I read an example. The lam, lahu, lahuma, lahum, means for them. Ayyahum. Ay, it comes from the word ay, which means which. Iyahum. Here, here, iya means them or for them or them only. For example, iyaka na'budu. Iyaka. Iyahum, for them only. Iyahuma, for them two only. Iyahu, for him only. And we see this example in Surah Al-Fatiha. Iyaka, ka means anta. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Iyaka na'budu, meaning that this is for them. Iyaka na'budu, meaning that he alone that we worship, meaning Allah. Iyaka. Then it has the feminine equivalent for them. Hunna, humma, and hiya. Hunna is the plural, meaning them, feminine. Huma means them two, female, or them two, or male and a female. And here it means she. The attached pronoun, hunna, huma, ha. Ha wa alif. The letter ha wa alif. La hunna, for them, all women, feminine. Lama, or la huma, for them too. La huma, for them too. Laha, for her. Iyahunna, only them. Iyahuma, for only them too. Iyaha, for only her. Example, hum muslimuna. Huma muslimani. Hum, huwa muslim. Hunna muslimatun. Huma muslimatan or muslimatani. وهي مسلماتون. Again, هم مسلمون, هما مسلمان, هو مسلمون. هن مسلمات, هما مسلماتان, هي مسلماتون. So they're showing you some other examples. Rabbuhum, their Lord. Rabbuhuma, their two of them, dual. Them two or their two, Lord. Rabbuhu, his Lord. Rabbuhunna, representing feminine or females. Rabbuhuma, same thing but dual. Rabbuha, her Lord. I explained in the previous lessons in the Arabic language using related to the plurals, three and more, dealing or addressing with a group of people. If there's all women and one baby boy or one man there, we do not use the feminine form, rather we use the masculine form, whom. For example, assalamu alaikum. If there's a group of people, all women, and there's one man there or one boy there, baby boy there, I still would say use the masculine form. Another example, khalaqahum. Allah created them or he created them. Khalaqahum. Khalaqahuma. He created them too. Khalaqahu, he created him. The feminine form, khalaqahunna, he created them. Plural, masculine. Khalaqahuma, them too. Well, it's female. Two females or two men. The pronoun huma doesn't change. Huma doesn't change, meaning it does not add a letter or something. Khalaqaha, he created her. We see the pronoun here, qul. Qul, huwa Allahu ahad. Say, he Allah is one. فَوَسْوَسَ لَهُمَا شَيْطَانُ. And Allah, and Shaitan whispered to them both. Who's the huma? I perceive Adam wa Hawa, Adam and his wife. Whisper to them too. So we can see the pronouns as an example. Who here can list to me the second person who could write here the second person pronouns that we learned from last week? The individual pronouns, not the attached ones. Who can list them, write them? Who can list them, write them? Change your ID. Whoever's writing under al-madrasa tula, change your ID. And Saliha, your question or your statement is beyond the topic. cheat. Cheat. Go look in your notes. Look in your notes. Write it in Arabic. I don't want to see nothing in English. I want to see nothing in English phonetics. Write it in Arabic. That's the notes. We're going to look at it right now, inshallah. الدماء المتصل. I named it attached pronouns. But within the lesson, I have the individual pronouns. The second person, huwa. And I wrote the pronoun, that attached pronoun next to it in the brackets. بين قوسين. Right between the brackets. وكتبت الحرف. I wrote the letter between the brackets and use an example. So huwa, using the word bait, baytuhu. Huma, baytuhuma. Hum, baytuhum. Hiya, attached pronoun ha, baytuha. Huma, baytuhuma. Hunna, baytuhunna. Anta, and the attached pronoun is kaf. Baytuka. Antuma. Kuma. Baytukuma. Antum. Kum. Baytukum. Anti. Ki. Baytuki. Antuma, which is kuma. Baytukuma. Antunna, which is kunna, baytukunna. Ana, the attached pronoun for ana is ya, bayti. Pay attention to that, it's very important. Because in the particular books that we've been using, I haven't really seen them focus on that. Two or more, noon, alif, na, baytuna, our houses. Now, I made a second video last week. After Friday class, I made another video explaining this. You can always go back to it for a review. When we go through it briefly today, we'll go through it briefly, then we enter into our lesson. Using prepositions. Harf, or harfu jar, or hurufu jarin, or harfu jar. Prepositions. For example, fi, with attached pronoun huwa, fihi. If you notice, the ha has kasra. It's very important. Fi with huwa, fihi. Huma, fihima. Hum, fihim. With here, fiha. Nothing changes here. Fiha, ha keeps fatha. Huma, fihima. The ha has kasra and majroor. Hunna, fihinna. And I wrote an example with fihi. ثم ياتي من بعد ذلك آم فيه يخاط الناس وفيه يغسرون. So ثم ياتي من بعد ذلك آم فيه. I gave you an example with Quran. فيه. فيه. Example of فيهما. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم فيهما عينان نضاختان. Say it again. فيهما عينان نضاختان. نضاختان. So you see where it's highlighted. فيهما. فيهن. Another example from Al-Quran. فيهن خيرات حسان. فيهما خيرات حسان. Now, the other preposition. Ala. Ala. Ala means upon. Fi means in. In previous lessons, we went over prepositions. Ala. So ala plus. Ala plus huwa. Ala plus huwa equals alayhi. 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 Ala plus huwa alayhi. The ha on alayhi has kasra. All prepositions, when it's attached to a pronoun, these particular pronouns, all of them don't alter. Fi and ala, we see this example. With only those pronouns that you see attached to them are like that. Alayhi. Here. So alayhi, now we have here. Here means she. Alayha, there's no kasra. Alayha, there's no kasra. There's no kasra. No قصر فتح عليها. No قصر فتح عليها. Now هما عليهما عليهما like عليهم عليهما هما عليهما. Very important. هم عليهم هم عليهم. هن عليهن هن هن عليهن عليهن. Next one after is man. Man, I'm sorry, men from. Men from. This is one of the words, one of the prepositions that when on the pronoun who, we don't say minhi, we say minhu. There's no kasra. No kasra. That's why I put it on the end. Huwa, minhu. Hiya, minha. Hiya, minha. Huma, minhuma. منهم منها منهما منهن. The ending one is important. منهما منهن. Very important. Must memorize this. Anyone have any questions before we start the new lessons? The new lesson. Anybody have a question before we start the new lesson? What happened to Lily? So now we're going to go over the book, Arabic Made Easy, page 38, lesson 10. اسماء الإشارة. أسماء الإشارة. So before I start reading, let me explain very simple, very easy concept where related to indicating something, pointing to something, indicating something. Something's close to you, something is far to you. We have this in English. This, something is close to you. This, something is away from you. That. This, that. Difference in Arabic language. We have a this, that's for a masculine word. We have a this for a feminine word. That, we have a that for a masculine word. And you have that for a feminine word. Just like this and that, in Arabic language, we have a this, talking about singular, but in Arabic, you have a special this for dual. And dual feminine, you have a this. And it has this plural. That, we have that for the singular, that for the dual, feminine, and masculine. And you have a that singular, masculine, and a that singular, feminine. That's the only difference in Arabic. And it have its own plural. So, al-ishara means pointing out something with a finger, meaning indicating something. It don't mean literally pointing at with your finger, but it means talking about something or indicating something that is far or near. A demonstrative pronoun was called ismu al-ishara. Ismu ishara of two kinds. One is pointing out something or indicating something that is a distance, and indicating something that is near. So we call it in Arabic ismu al-ishara. I'm reading from Arabic, right to left. Ismu ishara lil bayid, bayidi, or ismu ishara lil qarib. So ismu ishara, it says here, ismu ishara, that is qarib, lil qarib, that is close. Al-ismu ishara lil bayid, indicating something that is far, indicating something that is near. Qarib means close, and ismu ishara bayid, meaning indicating something that is far. So to introduce some of them, hada or that, right? Hada or that. Ha means in Arabic, the ha on the alif, the ha on hada means right here. Look at here. Pay attention. Look. Ha, when you hear ha on this letter, that's what it means. Pay attention here. Here. That's what it means. A lot of people who study Arabic language, even some Arabs, don't even know this. Munada, hunak, huna yani, indicating something that is here. This is why in Arabic we say right here, ha, huna, right here. So the ha here on hada means indicating, telling the listener, whoever, right here or here. Hada, indicating something that is close. That is part of the demonstrative. That alif is part of the demonstrative itself, meaning this. Hada means this right here or this. This right here, indicating something that is close, but it's getting the one who is talking or he's dressing his attention. But most Arabs don't know this. So هذا is for the singular masculine, and the feminine is هذه. هذه. So now we're going to look at the الجدول. الأسماء الإشارة للقريب. أسماء الإشارة للقريب. أسماء الإشارة للقريب. Why للقريب is kasra? Why the word قريب is ended in kasra? للقريب. أسماء الإشارة للقريب. Why is al-asma? The word al-asma has dhamma on it. Now I'm taking all the previous lessons and putting them together. Asma'u al-isharati. Why al-ishara is ending in kasra? And why lil-qaribi is ending in kasra? Aliyah. Asma'u. Why is ending in dhamma asma? Asma'u al-isharati lil-qaribi. All your previous lessons are mentioned here, especially talking about mudaf al-idafa, and especially we talking about huruf jar. Lil-qaribi is huruf jar. Why asma'u al-ishara? Why asma'u is in dhamma? Asma', why ends in dhamma? Why al-isharati ending in kasra? Thinking caps on. Thinking caps. مضاف ومضاف إليه. الله أكبر. ممتاز. Good. So أسماء الإشارة للقريب, indicating the names, the isms for indicating something. Ishara. Ishara means in Arabic language to point to something, to indicate something, but pointing to something. Al-ishara literally means to point at something, to indicate something, what to point to something. Ishara. Asma'u, the ism for al-ishara, indicating something. Lil-qarib, something that is close. So we have on the right hand side mudhakkar mu'annith. On the top of it we have mufrad, muthanna, jam'u. And then on the right, all the way on the right hand side we have mudhakkar, and underneath mudhakkar we have mu'annith. Mudhakkar means masculine and mu'annith means feminine. And then on top we have mufrad, singular, muthanna, dual, jamu, plural. Mudhakkar, masculine, is hada. This is singular, mufrad, singular. Hada. Hada has, like on top of it, a fatha that's like a aleph, meaning that you're going to hold out the sound. Hada. Hada. Arabic, 98 or to 97 to 98% of the way you see a word, you say it. There's some cases the way you see the word is not how you say it. Hada is one example of this. Another example is that imra'atun. This is the word for woman in Arabic. A woman. Imra'atun. Alif lam on imra'atun, the pronunciation changed. Al-mar'a. Imra'a has kasra, hamza kasra in the beginning. The hamza and the kasra is deleted. Al-mar'atu. Imra'atun, alif lam, al-mar'a. So هذا is one of those examples. What you see is not what you say. So most of the time when you read in Arabic, they're not going to have the vowels and that stuff on the word. So when you see ha, it's like the alif is written on it. You pronounce it like alif is written on it, even though it's not written on it. هذا, singular, masculine. هذاني, singular, dual, masculine. Then you have the dual, هذاني, the dual, masculine. هذين is the dual when the هذا becomes majrur or mansub. When هذا the dual only, when it becomes majrur or mansub. This should not be a hard thing to concept, because just like the muthanna, when it's majrur or mansub. Muslim, muslimani. Ana ma'a muslimin. Maini. I'm with two Muslims, for example. So the same concept. Hadani, hadaini. The dual. Hadani, dual and marfu'a. The case of it being marfu'a, normative. Hadaini, in the case of being majrur or mansub. Ha'ula'i is the plural. Next, mu'annath, the feminine. Now we don't say hada, we say hadihi. Hadihi. The dual, hadihi. That dal becomes ta. Hatani. Hataini. Ha'ula'i, plural is the same. The plural for the jamu mudhakkar, the jamu mu'annaf, ha'ula'i is the same. And you notice with ha'ula'i, it has the first letter being what? Ha. The last letter, it is hamza with kasra. It is fixed this way. All ismu ishara are fixed except for the dual. Let me say that again. All asma'u ishara, the ending of it is fixed except for the dual. The duals are not fixed. The duals are not fixed, but the remaining of them are fixed except for the duals. مؤنث هذه هاتان هاتين هؤلاء. هؤلاء fixed, the ending never changed. هذا never changed, the vowels never changed, it's fixed. هذه fixed, the duals changeable. في هذين, في هذين, in these two. هذين, في هذين, في هاتين. Next, the common form of ismu al-isharati lil-ba'idi, it is for far away, it is dhalika, means that. It is singular masculine, and the feminine of it, tilka, tilka. Tilka and dhalika is written the same, except for the masculine has dhalika, represents over there. Dhalika, over there. Tilka, over there. Dhalika, over there. The word for there in Arabic is called hunaka. Hunaka. What's the similarities? ذلك, هناك. That ka at the end represents something that is far away. The dal, ذلك means that over there. ذلك, that over there. تلك, feminine, that over there. Because the word for there in Arabic is هناك. هناك. Let me write it down. Huna means here, and hunaka means there. Huna means here, and hunaka means over there. The word dhalika means that. Notice with dhalika, it ends with the kaf. So you know we talk about something that is far away. And the that represents masculine. Dhalika, that, masculine. Tilka, that, feminine. All right. It's a typo on this thing. We're supposed to say اسماء الإشارة للبعيد. It's a typo on this PDF format I'm using. مفرد مثنى جمع. Same thing as before. مذكر masculine. ذلك. Same thing with ذلك. There's alif written on it. On top of it, but if we don't, I'm sorry, there's an alif pronunciation, but we don't write it. ذلك. Singular, masculine. ذلك. Dual, masculine. مرفوع in the normative case. ذينك. Two, dual masculine in the case of مجرور أو منصوب. أولئك, it's plural. And notice أولئك, what's the difference between هؤلاء, هؤلاء, and أولئك? هؤلاء. هؤلاء was for what? It's for this, the plural. أولئك, what's the difference? The difference is there's no letter ha there. أولئك. And just like ذلك ends with kaf, أولئك. تلك, feminine, مؤنث now. تلك, that. Tanika, that, you too. Masculine or feminine. Here, feminine. Tanika. I'm sorry. Tanika. Feminine, dual. Sorry, feminine, dual. Tanika, feminine, dual. Tanika, feminine, dual. But in the case of majrur mansub and ulaika. Must memorize this. Do everyone understand this point from the point I taught you from, explained from? Is it understood from the point that I explained? Is it understood, yes or no? And if anybody have any questions, the time to ask. This is the time to ask. No, you're not paying attention. No. Tainika is for feminine. Dual, feminine. Feminine. Feminine words. Dual. Danika is for two. Duals for that, masculine. Tainika is two. Duals, feminine, in the case of majrur or mansub. Danika is that, masculine, in the case of marfu', normative. So they're not the same, but they are the demonstrative for pointing to something that is far. As for tainika is for feminine, dual, for that. In the case of majrur or mansub. So it means you're not paying attention. All you have to do, memorize the charts. All you have to do, memorize the chart. Don't think. The chart is very easy. The top front of it On the chart, it says مذكر, that's masculine. هذا, هذان, هذين, هؤلاء. مؤنث, هذه, هاتان, هاتين, هؤلاء. That's all you gotta do. ذلك, ذانك, ذينك, أولئك. That's for مذكر, for ذلك. مؤنث, for ذلك is تلك, تلك. مفرد, تانك. Feminine, dual. تينك. In the case of مجرور منصوب. أولئك. Nothing else to think about. Nothing else to put there. Nothing else to figure out. Memorize just like this. There's nothing else. Do not make it hard. Don't take an easy lesson and make it hard. It's very easy. You understand, Aliyah? Arabic, you have to memorize certain things. There's certain things you have no choice but to memorize. And these are the things you must memorize because you're going to see pronouns everywhere. Jamasha says everywhere in Arabic. So you got to memorize this. Do you understand, Aliyah? Yes or no? حاضر تفضل تفضلين يعني. The spelling is right there in the book. The spelling is right there in the book. Tanika. Tanika. The spelling in the book is correct. If you're using the PDF format, as I noticed here, the PDF format has typos. It's Tanika. Tanika is correct. When it comes to Tanika, there is no Aleph because Aleph represents what? In the dual. Aleph represents al-marfu in the dual. If you're using this PDF that I'm looking at right now, the one I have on the screen, I notice it has some typos in it. If you buy the book, or you're going to buy the book, let me look at the link or whatever you're going to buy before you buy it. Make sure it's a newer edition. So some of the typos in there are taken out in the newer edition. This PDF right here I'm reading at, it's an old edition. All right, I'm going to start reading. When something is pointed out, that thing is then defined. Therefore, the thing pointed out must be defined. For example, I'm talking about a book, doesn't literally mean pointing, but talking about something, indicating a particular thing. هذا كتاب. This is the book. هذا الكتاب. This is the book. This book means this book, not a doer. هذان كتابان. هذان كتابان. These two books. Another example, من, because من is from harfu jar. من هذين الكتابين. From these two books. As we know the word book, kitab, it is mudhakkar. It is masculine. من هذين كتابين. Why هذين? Because min is from حروف جار. هذه البنت. This is a girl. هاتان بنتان. These two girls. من هاتين البنتين. From these two girls. ذلك الكتاب. That is a book. ذلك الكتابان. That two, that is two books, or that is the two books, or those two books. Sorry, those two books. تلك البنت. تلك البنت. That's the girl. Even the English is messed up in the book. That girl. That's the girl. تانك البنتان. Those two girls. من تانك البنتين. From those two girls. The thing pointed out by Ismu al-Ishara is called Musharu ilayhi. Musharun ilayhi. The thing that you are pointing to, or the thing that you are indicating. You don't have to use the word points, but it means the thing that you are indicating. Musharun ilayhi. Musharu means the thing you're pointing about. Ilayhi means the thing that you're indicating about or talking about. Indicating is the best word to use. Demonstrative pronouns is singular form, has the same for all the cases. هذا الكتاب, this book. من هذا الكتاب, from this book. هذه البنت. هذه البنت. ذلك الكتاب. من ذلك الكتاب. تلك البنت. من تلك البنت. هؤلاء and أولئك, very important, are used only for persons. Say that again. Ulaika, ha'ula'i is only used for persons. Ha'ula'i rijalun. Ulaika nisa'i. Ulaika rijalun. Ulaika nisa'u. Very important lessons coming up right now. It's going to be related to broken plurals because broken plurals are feminine. And we use the singular pronouns and demonstratives related to broken plurals. I will say it again. Broken plurals in Arabic are considered to be feminine. The broken plural, you use the singular feminine pronouns and demonstrative. Aliyah, write down what I just said. Type out what I just said, Aliyah. Type it out. Salihah. Aliyah, write down what I just said. Write it, type it out. I don't want to do no typing today. The student is going to do the typing. I'm going to say it again. The broken plurals. The broken plurals in Arabic. The broken plurals. You use the feminine, singular pronouns and demonstratives. Write that down, Aliyah, and type it out right here. And that's what we're about to explain in the book right now. If I said it in simple, in the most simplest way, more simple than the book. Write it out. Want to learn Arabic? Gotta do work. Excellent. Learn Arabic, gotta do work. Gotta do work. Gotta do work. Excellent. So I'm going to continue reading. If things pointed out to be in the plural and not be a person, then the singular feminine of the demonstrative pronoun must be used. For example, the plural for kitab is kutub. It is a broken plural because it's not ending in waw or noon or alif and ta. It is a broken plural. Anything that's the word, anything that is not ending in waw or noon, like muslimuna, muslimuna, mukminuna. These are sound plurals ending in waw, noon, and fatha. Muslimuna. Those are jamra as-salim. Anything is not ending like this. Now, we have a jamra as-salim, mudhakkar wal mu'annith. We have the masculine and the feminine. Muslim, muslimuna, masculine, plural. The feminine is muslimatun. That is a sound plural. The broken plural, wherever does not end in the waw and noon and fatha or alif and ta, it is a broken plural. Jamu maqassir, or broken plural. So the plural for the word kitab is kutubun. Kutubun. The word kutubun kutubun is the plural. Aliyah, is that masculine or feminine? I'm sorry. Is the kutub, if it's jamu salim, is it a sound plural or a broken plural? Kutubun. Aliyah, the word kutubun, I just typed it out. Is this masculine or feminine? Broken plural. It's a broken plural. So, al-mafrad, the singular for the word kitab, singular is kitabun. The plural is al-jam'u khutubun. Khutubun. So if things pointed out to be plural and be not persons, and it's not a person, then singular feminine of the demonstrative pronouns must be used. هذه الخطب. هذه الخطب. These books. تلك كتب. Those books. All right? تلك خطب. الجمع مقصر. The broken plurals are feminine. هؤلاء رجال. Right? You can say هؤلاء, which is used for people, human. هؤلاء رجال. These men. Or هذه رجال. These men. Both are correct. But هذه رجال, most Arabic speakers and writers not going to use this like this, talking about رجال. Most are going to use هؤلاء رجال. I like to show you. You're going to go to Google search in Arabic. I'm going to use a search engine. I'm going to put هذه الرجال. It's hard. I'm going to try to blow it up so you can see. It's hard to find anything written with هذه رجال except for here. Here's one example. فأي هذه رجال ترحم إلى. It's talking about something else, but here I will highlight it a little bit. So in his case, you can find it. Here's one time being used. I'm not finding nowhere else. All right. So here's one time it's being used. أو ترجمة إلى الفرنسية أمثال عربية. Say it's talking about something now. But this particular text is actually talking about this link, Arabic language and French language, right? It says to translate أي من هذه رجال في فرنسية في لغة فرنسية, right? So how you translate in the Arabic language these men, and they're using هذه الرجال. But it's not common use, but it's correct. Right? من هذه رجال. So you can use it. But if I go now and I put هؤلاء الرجال, so we find it here. It's being used in Arabic. But I look in all the other searches. From all the searches, هذه الرجال, I only found one of them. From how many links? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Out of 9 links from the browsing, 9, only one of them came out using هذه الرجال. Now I'm going to look up هؤلاء الرجال. So now looking at هؤلاء الرجال. Let's blow it up. 150. Maybe 1. That's good. As long as you guys can see it. So, هذه الرجال. Out of 9 links, only 1 came out using it. I'm sorry. هذه الرجال. Only from 9 links, 1 came showing using هذه الرجال. All right? Now I'm looking at هؤلاء الرجال. How many links coming up that has this usage? 1. Here's 1. Related to translating something on a website. The same website we was using before, now it has translate هؤلاء الرجال. That's 1 link. The second link, same things being used. This is an Arabic dictionary. كل هؤلاء الرجال. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Out of the 9 links, all of them are using هؤلاء الرجال. All right? So either you saying هذه الرجال, it's common, it's correct, but it's not commonly used. هؤلاء الرجال is what common used in the Arabic language. And some of the quests or the search is from books, Arabic newspapers in Arabic dictionaries are using the content in that way. Majority of them are books. Here, actually, one of the searches talks from a book in Arabic grammar. It says, في مثال أحضر هؤلاء الرجال. So the men are present, right? هؤلاء, it is اسم إشارة مبني على الكسرة في محل رفع الفاعل. Right? So this is talking about Arabic grammar. It's called al-i'rab, right? So it says هؤلاء اسم إشارة for هؤلاء is مبني, is fixed upon kasra في محل, in the place of رفع normative of the fa'il. الرجل بدل الاسم إشارة مرفوع بدمة. This is something to do with إعراب, breaking down things in إعراب, which means الرجل is بدل اسم إشارة, right? Badal is the alternative or the alternate for the ism ishara, where it is marfu or normative case with the with the vowel dhamma, for example, right? So whatever I'm looking at, I see it is commonly being used. هؤلاء الرجال. Even though هذه الرجال, it is correct, but it's more proper to use هؤلاء الرجال. It's very important to understand that. Back to the book. Similarly, أولئك الرجال وتلك الرجال are both correct, right? Are both correct. If I look up تلك الرجال, you're not going to see being commonly used. I'm going to say أولئك الرجال. But تلك الرجال is also correct because رجال is a broken plural. رجال is a broken plural. If the ism pointed out has a pronormal suffix, I don't know what he means by the pronormal suffix, it doesn't even make no sense, then the demonstrative pronoun must come after it. What? Kitabuka. Okay, this is like the Hindi, Pakistani, الحروف العربية من Pakistan. Kitabuka هذا جيد. Okay, what he's talking about, the pronormal suffix. Okay, I know what he's talking about. Forget this pronormal. It means it is a marfu case. Kitabuka. Here, the bull is marfu in normative case, and the ka represents you, anta. Kitabuka, your book. Hada jayyid. This book of yours is good. Kitabuka hada jayyidun. I wouldn't say that in Arabic either. I wouldn't even really even write that in Arabic. I wouldn't even say that in Arabic. I wouldn't say kitabuka hadha jayyidun, even though it's correct. I would say hadha kitabuka jayyid, jayyidun. I would say that hadha kitabuka jayyidun. That's what I would have said in Arabic. I wouldn't write it or say it like that, how he has it written. He says to write hadha kitabuka jayyidun is not correct. I don't agree with him there. If I even look up in Arabic, let's go and look on a Google search for literature, books. Even what he is saying, I don't agree with everything in his book either, in this particular book. So he said it's not correct to use it, right? Now I'm going to an Arabic newspaper who's using it, what I just said. What he's saying, they're not using it. We blow it up. So he said, for example, this is not correct. Here's the example of it. Let me just blow it up a little bit so you can see a little bit more. So I don't agree with everything he is saying or he's writing in his book, because I don't think the author is really, I don't know his background as being a linguistic in Arabic language. Here we go. هذا كتابك. And this is a book actually on Arabic language. Let's open up the link. I want to open up the link now. The author is a book on Arabic grammar. The author is saying the opposite of what he's saying. The authors say here, مقاسبة المؤنث بينما العملية تقول هذا كتابك لمذكر بالنقل الحركات كاف إلى ما قبلها وواو. هذا كتابك لمعنف بالنقل حركات الكاف إلى ما قبلها. وينبغي أن تلازم بنقط الصحيح الفصاح. So he's saying this is what the Arabs say, for example. So that's what I'm saying. I don't agree with this book, the author of the book Arabic Made Easy, because there's some concepts he have and he used in the book is not correct. You know, there's some concepts he used, it's not correct. Because like I said, the Arab, he wouldn't say what he wrote. You know, what he said here, Arab definitely wouldn't say that in Arabic language. Kitabuka hada jayyidun. I'm not saying that it's incorrect, but the Arab wouldn't say that. An Arabic speaker wouldn't say that. And he right to say hada kitabuka is not correct. He's wrong. This is not correct. So a lot of things in this particular book I don't agree with, and I will let you know, if he says something that's not correct. He says here, Kitabuka, هذا كتابك وكتابك هذا both means this is your book. كتابك ذلك بنتك هذه, this is your book. كتابك ذلك, that's, you can say that in Arabic, all that's correct. Then he mentions some other examples, but he gives too many. He needs to give a little bit more simple examples. So now he's talking about Ismu Ishara. The Ismu Ishara is mubtada of the sentence. Then its predicate is general, nakira. So the mubtada of the sentence, then its predicate is general, nakira. Hada kitabun. Right? I'm talking about the qabr. Hada kitabun. This is a book. Hadihi bintu. This is a girl. Dhalika kitabun. That is a girl. Tilka bintun. That is a girl. Dhalika kitabu. That is a book. Tilka bintu. That is a girl. He says al-musharu ilayhi, as the khabar of the sentence is marifa, is definite. I don't want us to really get too much into this right now, because it might be over the head for many of the students. Because we haven't really went over what is mubtada and khabar, because he doesn't give good lessons explaining that in this particular book. Or you need to be familiarized with some of the terminology. Maybe next weekend, inshallah, we'll talk about mubtada and khabar. For example, he says the nakhira in the case of the predicate is supposed to be nakhira. For this case, nakhira marifa in Arabic language is really about what you're talking about. Marifa being indefinite is something really is talking about. If you're talking about something specific, you're going to use marifa. If you're not talking about something specific, you're going to use nakira. So I don't agree with everything with him when he's saying in this particular book, because it's very clear he's not he's not an Arabic speaker. He's not an Arab who has like an understanding of the Arabic language. He is from India. So sometimes when the non-Arabic speaker, when they write books about Arabic grammar, sometimes in the usage of things, they have some concepts that's correct. Sometimes they have concepts that's incorrect. So I want to summarize this particular lesson. like here, he's talking about something here. Let me see something. Excuse me. I understand what he's trying to mean by this, what he was saying before. Okay, I see what he mean. We don't even need to worry about that right now. He doesn't explain it well. He needs to explain some of these things in more detail. He doesn't explain it well. All right, so here, in a simpler form, that is used for hada. Ha is for the hada, right? And I told you the letter ha means pay attention, listen up. It means it without saying pay attention. It means ha means somebody hear you know you're talking about something. You want their attention, for example. Hada. Ha, get the person attention. Hada, talking about this, for example, right? Hada or hadihi is used for, or the is used for hadihi. These forms are not, however, in common use. These forms are not, however, in common use. They are common used. I don't know what he's talking about. Some English is wrong. Then you use the word ay, which means ayyun. This right here is not even common in Arabic. I don't know why he's really using it. Ayyun, which masculine, ayyu, which is which. Ay means which, but ayatu is not really common used in Arabic. Maybe in the old classical Arabic, because it sounds a lot like the word ayat, which means verse in Quran. It's not commonly used, so he says ayat means which is not commonly used, maybe in old classical Arabic. But if I, this, because it looks a lot like the word ayat, verse, so it's not commonly used in Arabic. He says that if the ism is the genitive, ayyu rajulan, which man, ayyu bintin, yes, all right, and this is important to know. Ayyu rajulan, I could make the noun after it kasra or fatha. Ayyu rajulan means which man. If I say ayyu rajulan, wow, how is the man, or marvelous the man is, right? It has two different meanings. But I don't want to get into that today because he doesn't give good examples. This other stuff he's mentioned in this particular lesson, Kitab Lak. This book is for you. We get these, inshallah, we get more examples of this that's clear, inshallah, and we use another text like Medina Arabic course is better for these particular lessons because you give you more clear examples in Arabic, right? Hada min Quran. But all we care about today from this particular lesson is memorizing all the demonstratives, and that's what we really care about this lesson today, tonight, inshallah. All right, that's all we really care about. Anybody have any questions, inshallah? Any questions? All I want you to be concerned about is memorizing the chart from page lesson. هذا هذان هذين هؤلاء هذه هاتان هاتين هؤلاء ذلك ذانك ذينك أولئك تلك تانك تينك أولئك. That's all I care about from this lesson. Memorizing this. And the examples they're giving you, don't worry about them. Except for what I told you to worry about. The broken plurals. Yes, the charts. And when I said about the broken plurals, singular is feminine. That's all I care about this particular lesson. Everything else he's saying in the rest of the lesson, he's not explaining it well. And I disagree with some things. And I showed you, like, for example, hadihi rijal is not commonly used. Haula'i rijal is commonly used. All right? He said, for example, you don't say هذا كتابك. I disagree with, because I found the Arabic book and Arabic language explaining using these examples, because he's the person who wrote this book is not an Arabic speaker, right? He's a non-Arabic speaker who wrote a book on Arabic grammar, and that's some of the downfalls of reading books, or how to say, not reading books that are made in other language explaining about Arabic language. This is some of the problems of the books. If the person who wrote the book is not an Arabic speaker who has a degree in the Arabic language, who degree is related to the Arabic grammar, Arabic language. Even the Medina Arabic course, there was even some mistakes in this book and stuff like that. And the author of Medina Arabic course is originally, I think he's from Pakistan or he's from India. He studied in Jamiat Al-Azhar, who wrote the curriculum for Medina Arabic course. Even there's some stuff, even I looked and see in some of his books, even some of my teachers have seen mistakes and stuff like that related to Arabic grammar and stuff. But we would take out of here what we need. Maybe the next time I'll go over a lesson of Mubtada and Khabar, because it doesn't explain it well. But Mubtada and Khabar, you can learn it later on. Any questions? Yes, and ask, inshallah. Don't worry about it, Aliyah. Don't worry about what they told you. Just remember what I told you about Idafa. When they said that it's definite, for example, they said someone had mentioned and the mudaf is indefinite in form, meaning the way you write it, right? I mean, the way you write it, he's saying, I believe they're trying to say the mudaf is indefinite in form, but the meaning is definite. No. How can something be indefinite is only have one dhamma? The point of Arabic language is the ending vowel. So if the ending vowel has one dhamma, then we know that in that case that it's what? It is indefinite. So either we know we don't write the alif lam on it, because this is the case of al-idafa now. We don't write alif lam, because if you write alif lam on it, looking at it, And saying it, you cannot see that it's a definite case, or hear or see that it's not definite case. So I must take away the alif lam, and it must be what? It must have M in one mark. Why? To the listener, the reader, he's know that it's talking about definiteness. In possessive case, I'm sorry, it's talking about possessive case. And the thing that is owned, how can it be indefinite? Don't make sense. Common sense tell you the thing that is owned, how can it be indefinite? Muhammad's car. All right, the car must be definite, for example. All right, Muhammad's car. It has to be definite, the car. How can the thing that's being owned is indefinite? Doesn't make sense. Even use your common sense. Don't worry about what people say. Memorize the formats. Don't worry what people say. If you worry what people say and try to understand, you will never learn Arabic. You just memorize. Once you start memorizing and you start reading Arabic a lot, reading Arabic literature, reading the Quran, reading Hadith, using Arabic every day, you're going to start seeing everything's going to start making sense related to Arabic grammar, why the structure is like this. Don't worry about what people define, what definition. Just memorize the pattern, because most Arabic speakers who are not educated, they didn't go to school in an Arabic speaking country, they don't understand none of this stuff that we're talking about, but they use and understand Arabic language. They use and understand Arabic language, and they know nothing about Arabic grammar. They just use the grammar. They know nothing about structure. They don't know nothing about why and if it's written like this, they don't understand. Only thing they understand, like a little kid, for example, like a child, he's speaking English and the child speaks wrong, and you correct him. And if you're not an English teacher in English, you just correct him. You don't know the rule in detail. You just correct the child. Or we don't say something like that. Or we don't say it like that. That's wrong. We don't know if you're not an English teacher or study English grammar in and out. We don't know. We just know we don't say it like that. So don't worry about the definition, deep definition, this and this and that. Memorize the pattern. Memorize what I told you. Only memorize what I told you. That is important for you to memorize. Don't have too many teachers. If you have a teacher, for example, and this teacher is an Arabic teacher by trade, by skill, and they tell you something, okay, no problem, take that. If they're not a professional Arabic teacher, meaning not qualified to teach Arabic, don't take everything they say to you, because some people don't know how to explain. Because what they mention to you here, I'm not saying it's not wrong, but how that's conflicting what I taught you. That's not conflicting what I taught you. Just memorize the way I taught you. Once you just memorize the pattern and how I taught you to memorize the rule, that's all you need to know about it. The deep understanding, deep definition, you get that on a later stage. Not now, not in beginning stage. If I wrote to you, I wrote right now, for example. Beituhu. That's mudaf. That's al-idafa. His house. Show me the rule I just taught you. Al-idafa. Where's the mudaf and mudaf ilayhi? Beituhu. For example. All right, you got this word now. Beituhu. What about the rule I told you? Why the second part of the mudaf ilayhi, why the second part of it is not ending in kasra? Beituhu. Don't worry about all that other stuff. This right here, beituhu, is part of idafa, but you're not ready for it. For example, take the basic simple things. Beituhu, you don't have to know that this is mudaf. At the level you're at now, You don't have to know that it's mudaf. You just understand his house. Common sense tell you this is possessive case. And the rule I told you about mudaf and mudaf ilayhi with the structure, how this play into this. It's important, but you're not ready for it. Even though you understand it means his house. So whatever that person is telling you, deep in the meaning in this and breaking all these things down, the information that person's telling you is complicating something that is very simple. Because now, with the person, what they told you about the mudaf and mudaf ilayhi, I already explained it to you. And the simplest form that how you need to understand at a beginner's level. What that person wrote to you as you typed here, it's confusing you now. That's why you have to ask me. Because they're telling you something and they're telling you in a complicated way. They're telling you something that's a very simple rule. They're telling you this in a very complicated way. And this is why you're asking me what it means. Because now it has complicated what I told you from before. It didn't conflict it, but it complicated the things because now it didn't simplify the explanation for your level. You understand now, Aliyah? So don't worry about what people are telling you. Unless the teacher has certificate teaching you Arabic, has certificate for teaching Arabic language for non-Arabic speakers, la bus, no problem. But is there some random class you're going to or a random class you're just picking up online or a random class you're just entering? Maybe the teacher and the people in that class, maybe they're not on your level. Maybe on another level. Maybe they could be explained like that to them. But it's going to confuse you. Any more questions? Or will my answer suffice you? وفيكم بارك. Any questions? Any more questions, Aliyah? I have a question for you. What about mudaf you find complicated? Because it's very simple in mudaf al-idafa, possessive case. All right. What do you find complicated about it? I'm asking you this for a reason. What about al-mudaf that you find complicated? Okay, the person who was teaching you or explaining this, was it a private teacher of yours? Okay, in your example that you wrote, Babel bait in the sentence. First of all, al bait al mudaf is not bait. Bait is not the mudaf. All right. Bab is the mudaf, and bait is mudafu ilayhi. That's the first thing that is wrong. Mm, mm, mm. Always remember, the first part is the mudaf. The second part is mudafu ilayhi. That's all you need to know. Simple. The mudaf is the thing that is owned, and mudafu ilayhi is the owner of the thing. My next question, while I have a little time left. What the course you're taking for Arabic? What the class that you was in for Arabic? All right, inshallah, we'll end the video. Whatever you could ask, if you have something else you could ask in the comment, inshallah, and I'll try my best to answer it, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وأستغفر الله وأتوب إليك.